Welcome to another edition of Brolic Cavs. I'm your host here from sunny Queens, New York. We're here in Queens Boulevard, right in front of the Queens Place Mall, which is right next to the Queens Center Mall. And these are two major malls in Queens, New York. It's relatively in the center of Queens, so it brings in people from all around Queens and even from different parts of New York City. It's basically a central hub, a central zone in Queens, and the location is appropriate for what it really kind of stands for. It's less about the stores and it's more about the location, because it just brings in so many walks of life, and I want to take you down the journey and show you the different variations of Queens Boulevard, because there are so many. So with further ado, let's go on a walk. So what we were looking at before was Queens Place Mall, and that's something that I only also discovered today, because I only kind of knew that mall to be just like the Best Buy Target mall. I didn't really know the name, but today I went inside and found out. And also, that mall right there is the Queens Center Mall. And that's mostly where people go for their shopping needs. It also has the Apple Store and Macy's. I believe it once had JCPenney, which might or might not be bankrupt at this moment, but don't quote me on that. But yeah, this is a pretty known church around here. And so throughout this walk, down Queens Boulevard, we are going to see its changes. These malls and where we are right now is called Elmhurst. It's Elmhurst / South Corona, but mostly it will be Elmhurst. And had we gone south of where we were walking, so the complete opposite direction, we would be near Jackson Heights, Roosevelt Avenue, Woodside, and if we went on further along on Queens Boulevard down that way, would have been Sunnyside and the neighborhoods that go after that. But since we are walking this way, what we are going to see is so this is Elmhurst. So the next neighborhood would be 63rd Drive, Rego Park. So Rego Park would be the area. Rego Park is also very scent. A lot of Eastern Europeans Uzbeki people, and Orthodox Jews. Yeah, just diverse, but concentrated within those regions. And if we went on further along, and as we plan on doing, we will be, okay, so JCPenney is still there. The letters are not down yet. So I'm guessing they're not bankrupt just yet. But I don't know how long that's gonna be. But okay, so after 63rd Regal Park, we go to 71st Forest Hills. And many of you guys may or may not know, Forest Hills is one of the major locations in Queens. It definitely is amongst the wealthier neighborhoods in Queens. A lot of the people that live in Forest Hills are young professionals, some expats, and people from other cities and other states who ever come to New York and Queens and want to live in a place where you have bars and a bit of nightlife, but also balance of suburbia. So maybe we don't plan on going inside Forest Hills, but let's see. If we do, then I can show you the different sides of Forest Hills too. Because when you enter Forest Hills, it appears as to be a place where at the nighttime things come alive, the restaurants are popping, the bars are lit. But also, and that is definitely the case in Forest Hills at night times, on weekends, and just nighttime any day. But also, when you walk further into Forest Hills, it's complete suburbia. It's kind of just like townhomes, homes, no stores. It's basically just a private area, a residential area that has a good amount of security, perhaps even private security, and is exclusive in that way. And as I say that, had we walked that way and passed right next to the bridge or right across the bridge or past the bridge, right? We would have gone towards Glendale, Ridgewood, Maspeth, areas such as that. And yeah, that way is the highway. So Van Wyck Expressway, Grand Central, right? They conjoin to the left. But yeah, Forest Hills, as I was saying, has a couple sides to it, right? And it's not just what you see from when you enter. If you keep walking a bit further, you will see the differences within Forest Hills. But okay, then we keep walking down Forest Hills, right? And then we go towards 75th Avenue and Kew Gardens. And that's a bit more residential, a bit less nightlife, and it also has the Queens County Court. Queens County Court. Yes, yeah. So it's not the Supreme Court. It's a county court, right? For like civil matters, civil court. And Kew Gardens, along with Briarwood, is like that. Thank you. Is like that. It's way more residential. It's way more quiet. It's a bunch of middle schools, a couple of high schools maybe. Is there any high schools? No, there aren't really even high schools near in Briarwood or Union Turnpike. It's just middle school. And I say that because I went to a middle school in Briarwood, and I have knowledge about what Briarwood looks like. Yeah, and it's very just quiet. It's just a quiet kind of neighborhood. And if Kew Gardens is quiet and Briarwood is just like its little sister, kind of, because it's pretty much the same, but just in a lighter version. Yeah, and then if you go down Briarwood, you're basically in Jamaica, and that's where basically Queens Boulevard ends. So the end of Queens Boulevard, one of the ends of Queens Boulevard is on Hillside Avenue, which is basically Jamaica, New York. And the other end of Queens Boulevard is all the way opposite of where we're walking to, behind me, after several neighborhoods. It also ends in LIC, Long Island City, right before the Gantry Plazas, the Court Squares. So Queens Boulevard, one end, Jamaica, the other end, LIC. And there will be a video or a live stream where I walk the entirety of it to show you guys exactly what Queens Boulevard encompasses. And it also further proves what I would say in other videos and live streams about no 20 blocks in Queens or New York City even are the same. It changes up a lot. Some places change up more than others, but the change is nevertheless inevitable. And so, 20 blocks, no 20 blocks are the same. But after 10 blocks, you will see the influences that make those 20 blocks the influences that make those 20 blocks get categorized to a specific people or to a specific group or specific groups, collection of groups, whatever it gets categorized as. Within those 20 blocks, after 10 blocks, you'll probably start seeing those influences themselves start kind of fading away. And as those influences start fading away, the influences of the next 20 block start seeping in. Not totally, not extremely, but just slightly, so you know that you are definitely walking away from a type of environment to a different type of environment. So had we walked 20 blocks opposite of where I am, where we're going, we would have seen the Spanish influence, the Latin American influence. You don't even have to walk 20 blocks. You just, okay, maybe Queens Center Mall is not a good example because it brings in all walks of life, but you just walk around, not inside Queens Center Mall, and you'll see the Hispanic influence around that area. And it's like that for not only 20 blocks, a bit more, because the Latin American world is so huge, right? So I would say a good chunk of it, you would definitely find the heavily populated Ecuadorians, Colombians, most definitely. But you would also find some smaller countries, people from smaller countries, like Guatemala, Nicaragua, you know? It's no country, people from no country, people from every single Latin American country could be found in Jackson Heights, in Corona, in these parts of Queens, for sure. And you know what's even more funnier is right next to Jackson Heights, or right the east of Jackson Heights, right, is Corona, and you see the Spanish influence in it. But you walk maybe 5 blocks to the west of Jackson Heights, more towards Woodside-ish area, and it's primarily Nepalese, Bhutanese, Tibetan people. And you tell me how close they are from the Latin American world. Not at all. But that's what is possible in Jackson Heights, in a place like Queens, in a place like New York City. I don't know of any other place where that could be possible. Maybe England, but England in a much, much lesser extent, right? And so tell me, how does a Tibetan kid growing up in Jackson Heights, going to school with all these different walks of life, going up near Corona and Jackson Heights, smelling empanadas, how does he or she grow up, right? That kid is not your average regular Tibetan. He's not only Tibetan, but he's not only a Tibetan American, because his influences go further, go way past Tibet or America. His influences pretty much go across the world, because the Latin American culture, right? His cultural upbringing is rich. It will be very hard for him. He needs to be very adamant in his ignorant ways to stay ignorant in a place like that, right? So if that Tibetan kid grew up in Jamaica, if that Tibetan kid grew up in Harlem, if that Tibetan kid grew up in Sheepshead Bay, Brooklyn, if that Tibetan kid grew up in the Bronx and near Morris Hill, Parkchester, is that Tibetan kid your average Tibetan kid? Definitely is not. Definitely is not. I apologize if I haven't really shown you left or right. But basically, while we were saying all that, St. Paul's Nursing School is a pretty well-known nursing school around here. But while we were saying all that, we entered the region of Rego Park. And Rego Park, from my personal anecdotal experience, before anyone, bashes me for what I'm about to say, is there's a heavy Eastern European influence, like sort of Balkan, but also like Russian, Ukrainian, and Uzbeki. Basically, previous USSR, right? A lot of their folks live here. And to me, it's a special place. To me, I really appreciate this place. Not only because of its diversity and what it introduced me as a kid growing up in Queens. It culturally educated me. It showed me how Uzbeki people live, kind of. What their markets look like, what their stores look like, what their men and their women dress, how the kids are raised, sort of, you know? Like, definitely I'm not in their home, but walking around here for years and years and years, you get a sense of how these people are and how closer or far they are from your own culture. And you realize that most of it is very close. Most of it is just you standing on one side of 6 and me standing on one side of 6 and calling it 9 and you calling it a 6. It's basically just that. It's just like Uzbeki people lived in one place and the Russians lived in another place. They both looked at the same thing, but they saw it in different lenses, you know? And that's basically the case with most of us. People think so much, right? People think so much that we're so different, that we have so many differences, that where I was born, how I was born, is the ultimate truth. There's no other truer thing than that, right? But then you get exposed to the rest of the world, right? And then you realize that you were living in a fishbowl, right? And you weren't even aware of it. You weren't even aware how small your world was, right? And it could be very well the case that I'm living in a sort of fishbowl myself, where I'm saying that Queens represents the world, where New York is a representation, a symbol of the world. I may be living in a fishbowl like that. But the people that live in it, right? And the constant influx of people coming and going from this place, that keep coming back here, that go to different places, that come back and bring their experiences and their cultures and their habits, and they are in front of me. And when I see their changes and their variations and things that are formed in a new way through them, you know, I realize, I figured out something about Sikhs in America. Sikh is, if you guys know Sikhism, if you guys didn't know, is a religion that originates in India. And yeah, it's a very philosophical, it's a very important and special religion, right? And many of you guys may identify Sikh people with wearing turbans, and it is actually true, and it's one of their things to be represented in that way, so you know that this person is Sikh. So there's nothing like racist or anything like that by looking at someone wearing a turban and thinking that they're Sikh, right? Anyway, me as a person, whatever I knew about Sikhism, whatever I knew about Sikh people through Bollywood or through movies or TV, or whatever I had known about them before, growing up here, being near Sikh people, being near not so far to an area that has a lot of Sikh people in it, being not so far from an area that has a Gurdwara, which is basically a temple for Sikh people, I found out that a lot of Sikhs come here and get into the trucking business, right? And that was unknown knowledge to me. And you may think that it makes no sense, there's no connection here, but to me there is. And the connection is that Sikhs were a warrior class people, and they have used their bodies for tremendous work within their history. They're warrior class people, right? That's not to say that they don't use their brain, because Sikh people are very, 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 very amongst the smartest people that I've ever met. And that's me generalizing, but I don't mind doing that because most of the Sikh people I've met are very, 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 very smart, right? So I didn't really know that a lot of Sikh people come from India. I thought about it and it made sense, because a lot of groups will probably look down on the profession of trucking as something as like that's like manual labor that is not engaging your intellect. And I don't think like that, but that's the stigma of some people, right? Which is not right. But that's why a lot of people don't go into the trucking business. But Sikhs don't care about any of that stigma. They don't care about what it sounds like to other people about what they do. They are working and they're buying houses and they're living a great, great life. And they put each other on. When Sikhs come here, other Sikhs that are already here help them out. They work as a team. And a lot of ethnic groups do that. But not a lot of them have a strong tribal bond, even in America. And essentially, that sort of bond is what kind of helps people exceed and excel and succeed in America. And you know, these things I learned through them and others that don't belong to my group. So I've learned these like invaluable ideas and wisdom from people that I've just observed that are very different from me, or some may argue not at all. But it's not that common that it's not that common for people to have different opinions and ideas and be open to that different idea when they're exposed to it. But when you are in a place like Queens and you get constantly exposed to different ideas, at some point your stubbornness on holding on to things, they get tested, right? So I'm not saying they fade away, and that definitely is a you thing. It's like how strong you are with your beliefs. But they definitely get tested. And if your ideas, your differences of opinion are strong enough, or your belief in them are strong enough, you'll keep them. But if they have fallacies and if they have holes in them that people can poke at, they will get poked at very easily And then if you're not strong enough in your belief, or if your belief and your argument is not strong to begin with, you are in trouble. Or you're just going to flop around on ideas, not really believing anything. So yes, search for the truth is essential, but also know not to flop around on things just because it's different. Different isn't always the truth, but the truth may not be what you already believe in. So it's a balance of both. That's what I believe in. And so as we're saying this, we have left Rego Park, and now we are approaching Forest Hills. And so, you know what? We were intending on walking the entirety of Queens Boulevard up until Jamaica, but I want to show you a bit of Forest Hills, and then we'll come back to Queens Boulevard and we'll see how far we go on Queens Boulevard. But let's go inside Forest Hills, shall we? So I want to have a designated day for Forest Hills. This is not an only Forest Hills day, but there will be one. So stay tuned for that one too. Actually, I want to show you what it looks like getting off on 71st and Continental, 71st Continental Ave, because that's a major stop on the E train, and that's primarily what you're gonna take to come to Forest Hills. So I want to show you what it looks like getting off on the Forest Hills stop. Trader Joe's, popular destinations for expats around here. Chevy. So you would get off over here. Welcome to Forest Hills. So, Forest Hills will have its own designated day because, as I was telling you, there are different sides of Forest Hills. It doesn't just look like what you see right now. And at nighttime, the crowd is populated even more. It increases even more. But had we gone down that way a bit more, we would have entered the residential areas. That's an area I'm not going to go to today or go into today. I just want to show you what the main blocks of Forest Hills looks like. Should have told them congratulations. Congratulations to them regardless. So these places to the left and right of me, they get amplified on nights and weekend nights. Whatever you see right now is a very light version of what it becomes. Alright, you know, I think we've seen most of this area. I think we're just gonna go back and show you the other parts of it. Not the suburban parts, but the other sides of the main area.
Because it hurts.
Target. couple of bars, but after that, it's just suburbia, which will be shown on a different day. But for now, we will see the rest of metropolitan Forest Hills, and then we will make our way back to Queens Boulevard and show you the rest of what it looks like. But on this stretch of Forest Hills, Austin Street basically. So this entirety of the straight walk that we've been doing, well, for the last 5 to 10 minutes, we're on Austin Street, and we're just walking to the other end of Austin Street. It's a street in Forest Hills, and it has a lot of major stores. So Sephora is coming up. Just eatery and bakeries and Tacombi, the Mexican Tex-Mex or Mexican burrito bowl-ish place. Burrito bowls, basically just Mexican cuisine, right? I complicated it for no reason. It's basically just a Mexican cuisine. Tacombi is also here. Bear Burger, Mad for Chicken, right? Yeah, and that's pretty much metropolitan Forest Hills. Nightlife, young Forest Hills, right? A couple of coffee shops here. Austin Street Pizza. Heard good things about it. So we'll try it out one day. Not today. Today we go back to Queens Boulevard and show you the rest of it. We also walked past the Forest Hills movie theater. But yeah, that was all Forest Hills. Minus the suburbia. Now we're walking down Queens Boulevard again. And we're making our way towards 75th and 75th Avenue, Union Turnpike, Kew Gardens, such areas. So we're now on 75th and Union Turnpike. But we are approaching Kew Gardens and Union Turnpike. Yeah, Kew Gardens is a different neighborhood, also very residential, very quiet. And the rest of Queens Boulevard is basically that. So we'll show you a bit more of it. And our plan is to stop by the court, which shouldn't be far from here. I believe this is Queens Blvd, a bar slash restaurant on Queens Boulevard, Queens Blvd. Pretty good. I think as we approach Union Turnpike, Kew Gardens, I am going to conclude our live stream here very soon. So we're not that far from the courts, and when we get there, that's when I will be conducting it, concluding it. Yeah, I want to thank you for joining us for this edition of the live stream, and there will be plenty more, and perhaps the next one might be in Manhattan or in Queens or Brooklyn or the Bronx, and Staten Island will definitely get its fair share too. Definitely will. So Staten Island's not getting missed out. You guys like candid videos? You got them.
Get out right behind.
Grand Central. Also the Van Wyck. Mostly Grand Central. This is a side of the court. The main court. I don't know if there are, if you guys can hear this. This is basically Queens Criminal Court. I'll say it again when the signal for low signal goes away, just so you guys can know this. Is that this?
Yes, ma'am. How are you?
Is the Queens Criminal Court, right? And so I'm going to end the live stream here. I'm glad that you joined us for the stream. Thank you. And I will catch you in another edition of Blvd Cast very, very soon. So thank you for joining us, and I hope you join us very, very soon. Thank you.